Hey there, I'm Han.
And I'm Kat, and we're Brews and Reviews.
Today we are bringing you our November wrap-up. So, we did alright in November. Well, I did better than usual, to be fair, in November.
Yeah, you did well. I actually did okay too, even considering I did NaNoWriMo.
Exactly.
And for quite a lot of the month, I didn't read or listen to anything even. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
So first though, I need to apologise that I sound funny because I'm ill and I've given it to Hannah so she can be ill too, but you don't sound dodgy yet, so...
Not yet. It's coming.
It's alright.
I feel it. I feel it in my throat and my nose.
I'm sorry.
So, it's great. So yeah, we'll just get started.
So the first book that I read this month, alright, I'm kind of going to cheat. I read 2 parts of the same book, but I've only got one of them here. I listened to them both on audiobook, but it was The Storm of Swords by George R.R. Martin. I read both part 1 and part 2, which I have here, and yeah, I finally got to this part of Game of Thrones. It was okay. I didn't enjoy it as much as I've enjoyed like other parts of Game of Thrones because I found there was some quite boring areas. And Sam whines a lot and wets himself, and it's like, kind of prefer the, you know, the TV series. I think it gets better than the books at this point in time. So I've been a bit reluctant to carry on with them since then. But I also think maybe NaNoWriMo put me in kind of like a mood, so I didn't really want to. I think that might have maybe tainted my view on these 2 books. Yeah.
The first book I read in November was Legend by David Gemmell. So I read this for Katie's birthday because I promise you by the end of the year I'd read it, and I always had it planned to read it on your birthday anyway. What can I say, like, I loved it. I really did enjoy it. There were parts like I think at the start where I was a bit like, am I getting this right, am I understanding it right, you know, with all these characters and everything, because there is a lot going on, isn't there? But by the end of it, I grew so attached to so many of the characters. His world building, his description in the battles, like you have always said, you can see it right in front of you.
Yeah.
And I think that helped me so much more with this kind of book because there is so much going on. So to have that little extra aid in being able to see it.
Yeah, he's just the way he describes everything is just so visual, and you're like even now I can picture it in my head, and I'm like,
yeah. But yeah, I thought it was brilliant. I'm so glad I've read it, and I'm so glad I enjoyed it as much as I did. I would have been devastated if I didn't like it. Because I know at first, I think, like, even I was a bit worried. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like it, but I did. I absolutely loved it, and it is definitely worth a read.
We also have done a review of this, which we are going to put up soon, because it's about high time that we talked about my favourite book.
Yes.
So look out for that in the future. So the next book that I read this month was The Body Farm by Patricia Cornwell. If you watched any of our NaNoWriMo vlogs, you'll know that I was writing a crime thriller, so I find it's really helpful to read the sort of genre that you're writing, and that's what I was doing with this book, and this book really sucked me in. I couldn't stop reading it. It is book 5 in the Kay Scarpetta series. You don't have to read them in order. I'm just going through them, reading them in order, because I like to do that. It was really interesting story. It's basically about a little girl that turns up murdered in a very small town, and then some other weird stuff happens and some crazy people are abound.
Second book I read in November was Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. Now, I thought this book was absolutely brilliant. I really loved it. All the characters, the world, everything. We have uploaded a review of this.
So this book basically follows Carew, who works for a chimera called Brimstone. Chimera are basically like, I guess they're kind of demon-y things.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, there's 2 different types of chimera. So some of them are half animal or more animal aspect, which means that they kind of look like animals, but that stand up. They're basically they're basically anthropomorphized animals, and there are human aspect chimera who are more like human features, so they have human faces and stuff like that, but then like have like, I don't know, maybe horns or like
wings.
Feet. Yeah, like, so, well, I mean, they all have feet. It's not my day. She works for them and she collects teeth because the magic system in this book is based around collection of teeth. And I think that's really interesting because you don't really see that. It seems to be like collect the teeth in exchange for the magic.
Yeah, so. But she doesn't really know what the teeth are for.
No one will tell her.
Yeah, so she's working for Brimstone, and this family who she's been raised by, she doesn't really have many memories of, you know, her childhood or...
She only knows being in Brimstone's shop and being raised there. She doesn't know, like, where she's from or anything like that, because she's a human.
Yeah, but she's kind of a special human, and you get this, you know, from what people think about her and, you know, how people perceive her.
I just really like Karou as a character. I think she is, like, just really personable. She is funny. You can understand her motives for doing the things that she does. And they're like, she makes some flawed decisions at times, like using frivolous wishes on things. And you're like, yeah, because you probably would in that situation.
Exactly.
So, and her best friend, Susanna, is my favourite, and I love her.
She's brilliant. She's such a great character. So yeah, it just follows Karou, and things happen with her family.
Some people have gone around placing handprints on the doors to Brimstone's shop, which is the access points from one world into another. And one day, all the doors start closing. So it's basically about what happens, what Karou does from that point on, and some other characters come into the mix. But we're not going to talk about them because that's spoilery and we can't control ourselves. So if you want to know about that, go to our review.
Yes.
So the next book that I read was an audiobook deal that I got from Audible, and it was like $1.99 on special offer, which was really funny because someone I work with called Martin, he was actually just in the process of recommending me this book, and I was like, hey, look, I just bought this. I'll listen to it now. So I did. The book I'm talking about is called The Collapsing Empire by John Scalzi. Now, I really like John Scalzi as a writer because I think he is so witty. He is very, very funny. And he writes sci-fi in a way that it's not too difficult to understand. He like establishes the rules of the universe that he's created, and they feel believable. Even when you've got people over here, and different ends of the universe, you're like, yeah, I could see how they all connect together and how it's not like small universe, you don't get any of that. The Collapsing Empire is based around a universe that is connected by something called the interdependency and the flow. So you can travel along the flow. It kind of reminded me, right, of, you know in Finding Nemo, when they go and...
the East Atlantic current?
Yeah, like, it was kind of like that. You go in the current and you go fast to another place.
Right, okay.
And it's kind of clever like that, but like it's already set up and it goes from planet to planet, and there are certain... Well, they're not planets. There's only one planet in the interdependency. Everything else is built on, like, something that isn't sustainable. They're like space stations and stuff, but they all come out like that. So there's one planet called End, which is, funnily enough, the end of the line. And it's basically about, you follow a bunch of different people. You follow the new emperor of the interdependency who's just come into power, and she was never really meant to be emperor. It should have been a brother, but she's had to take power. And she's quite an interesting character, but then you also follow some other people over on End who are just the best. My favourite character was someone called Kiva Lagos, and she is no nonsense, sweary, will take no bullshit from anybody, and she just has sex with everyone. It's just brilliant. Like, she will literally just be like telling someone off, and then she'll be like, but come on now, let's go bang, and I'll still keep telling you off, but we're gonna bang while we're doing it. And she's just really funny. The whole Lagos family are just the best, and I'm really hacked off that I have to wait a long time for the sequel to this book because I want to know what happens. Some madness is going on, the flow is collapsing, the interdependency is shrinking. I need to know!
The next book I read in November was Blood of Olympus. Now, it was just brilliant. I absolutely loved it. I even Snapchatted you. It was about like 11:45 at night, and I had to Snapchat a video of me crying because I was like, it's just so beautiful. Honestly, it was the most perfect ending to a most wonderful series. I think Rick Riordan is just brilliant in himself anyway with how he writes, but the characters in this series, I mean, I've got to say, Nico has a special place in my heart. I absolutely adore Nico. He is just wonderful and brilliant. Like, throughout the whole series, you just root for him and you have such a love for him, you know. But like Percy and Annabeth, like their love, it's like, I want that. Like, they are so adorable, but all of the characters, they can stand on their own. They are brilliant. The adventures that they have to go on, well, I wouldn't really call them adventures, I suppose then they're not exactly like fun and exciting. It's just a brilliant wrap up to a wonderful series, and if you haven't read these series, they are so worth the read. Like, I love the way he writes. It's so like if I was talking to someone. It felt like he was literally sat there and he was telling me this true story, and that's how I think I got so sucked into it, because of how his style of writing is. I really, really love it.
So the next book that I read this month is it's part of this new series we're going to do called Daily Deal Disasters, in which I buy terrible books that are recommended to me by BookBub. So, okay, this book is called Chosen by the High Judge, and it's one of those that's like got like a shirtless man with rippling pectorals on the cover, and a woman there going like, oh, I love you, oh. But anyway, so this, I don't know why I get recommended these things, but like, dear God. So I thought, no, I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it because it sounds terrible, and guess what? It was! So, you can see a full review of this in another video that we were going to post soon.
Yes.
But all I'm gonna say now is that this book is about an alien judge, criminal lady, and it's terrible. Truly terrible, waste of my life. Made me laugh a lot though, so...
Made me cringe a lot.
I'm going to be doing a dramatic reading from that book to Hannah, so that she can be like... Anyway, yeah, I know, it was fun, because of how bad it was. And sometimes you just need to read a really awful book, and that's what I was doing with that.
The last book I read in November was Days of Blood and Starlight by Laini Taylor. So this is the second one to Daughter of Smoke and Bone. And I really, really enjoyed it. Now, I feel like Laini Taylor's writing can sometimes confuse me, because this book started off and I was like straight away, I had to read it about 3 times because I was like, have I missed something? Am I not getting something here? But I realised like she does it quite a lot throughout her books. Like, she did it in Daughter of Smoke and Bone and I got a bit confused. I think it's just her writing style. Once I knew that, I kind of got it, but there was a little bit at the start of this book where I was like really confused. I was like, what is going on? Like, how has this happened? Like, why is there no explanation? It does explain it, but just afterwards, you know, it like jumps, but it's an okay jump, it's forgivable, and she does it in a way that's okay. By the end of this book, I really enjoyed it. I like the events that unfold in this book, the characters. You know, I really like the introduction to new characters. You get to see a lot more of the Chimera race in this, and the Seraphim race as well. I can't really say too much because you haven't read it.
Yeah, I know, I'm like, oh, please don't spoil me, Hannah, please.
So, all I'll say, it is a great sequel. I can't wait to then now see what happens in the last. Like, I think it's going to be really exciting. So yeah, it was just a brilliant read.
So the last book that I read this month was basically a reread to try and get me back into like a different frame of mind from my crime thriller, intense murder that I was in, and like back into the headspace of sort of YA, because I feel like I want to be in a YA headspace for a little bit. We're reading Harry Potter this month, so I was like, I need to get back into that.
Yeah.
How could I do that quickly? I'll read The Hunger Games again. Like, I know what happens. I know the Hunger Games inside out. I do, because I read it a lot when I was younger, because I was obsessed with it, because who wasn't?
Exactly.
And I still really like it. There are bits of it where I'm like, yeah, okay, get to the next bit. But then there are bits of it where I'm like, oh yeah, I remember how much I loved this. I remember really liking this bit, and I remember liking it more than the film. What is there to say about the Hunger Games? Everyone knows about the Hunger Games. If you don't know about the Hunger Games, you've been living under a rock and you probably don't care.
But that was it for our November wrap-up.
Yeah.
I feel like we were productive. I feel like we did well.
I
mean, I take my hat off to you because you did, like, you stormed it. NaNoWriMo and reading 6 books, like, wow.
I'm not actually sure how I did that. I think it was mostly because they were audiobooks.
Yeah.
So.
But still, it's still, like, you know, taking it in
Brain power.
mentally. Yeah, completely. Like, no wonder you were so drained at the end of it.
Yeah, I was. I actually kind of blame that as to why I am ill now. I'm like, I think I kind of exhausted my brain, and now I'm like suffering for it. But I mean, NaNoWriMo is worth it, guys. I promise.
And you finished it. Well,
I did finish it.
So.
I finished my first draft of a novel that I've been working on for 2 years, so it was about damn time.
So if you liked our wrap up, please leave us some comments in the comments below, and like let us know if you've read them, what you thought, and what you read in November.
And we'll see you in the next video.
See you later.
Bye.